Welcome to the June 22nd, 2026 meeting of the Milton Community Preservation Committee. My name is Tom Callahan. I'm the chair of the committee. I'm going to just do introductions.
Jenny Russell, vice chair.
Pete Jackson, at-large member.
Rob Lee-Bashford.
Steve O'Donnell, Historical Commission.
Kathleen O'Donnell, citizen member.
And Wendy Garpo from the Conservation Commission.
Okay. And we have Al and Robbie online. You want to introduce yourself?
Yep, Robbie Powers, representing the Housing Authority.
Thank you. And Hal, is Hal there? Hal may be away. I know he has childcare responsibilities tonight. He's juggling.
Hal Munger, planning board here. Sorry, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Hal. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, we are, the first thing on the agenda is to get right into the applications. So the first up is the Pine Grove Restoration, Marita. Welcome back.
Thank you. Whole year. And this was
And for the record, just introduce yourself.
sure, I'm Marita Manning Cronin. I'm a board member at MRE. And I put in an application a year ago for restoration of the pine grove at Winter Valley. And it was approved by your board, by the warrant committee, and at the May town meeting for the first phase. So this is the second phase. And I'm back. And obviously the first phase hasn't started yet. It will, when the funds get released on the 1st of July. I don't know if anybody has any, some of you have taken a tour with me. The property. And your suggestion last year to connect with Georgia Lee was very.
Oh, I'm
very
so
helpful.
glad.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Georgia's a great resource.
Yeah, she had wonderful pictures. It has any questions?
So what's happening with phase two?
Phase two will be a continuation from where, when phase one gets finished.
Yeah.
It'll be from where phase one ends until it gets to where the pond is.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a continuation of that.
So did you have is this an estimate that was it based on
Yes,
from?
the Hunt Brothers.
Okay.
For the tree work.
Oh, yeah.
What was the cost of, what did we fund last? The first phase?
10,000?
20,000.
Okay. So this is for 60, the request is for 60 out of a total project cost of 100.
Right,
Where's the 40 coming from?
hoping to do individual grants.
Okay.
And we've also, we're collecting information to be on register for National Historic Places.
Yeah, so it was 40,000.
Last year was.
This, yeah, at May town meeting or April town meeting.
It was 40?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And will this be done when it's done? Or is this phase two of ultimate?
No.
Phase
Phase two will be under
will be it. Yeah.
I think phase two finishes at the Pine Grove, as we noted on our walk there, that the historic gardens are more extensive. So conceivably, there could be continued work, but
Phase 3, 4, 5.
yeah, 6, who knows?
Yeah.
But this finishes up the Pine Grove, this particular project. I just know, because as you know, I've done the research on garden and things like that. The more formal garden, there's lots of things that could be done, but it's much more complicated. So there would be more study and things required before undertaking any significant restoration work there.
So remind me, like, when this is then open, how does the community engage with the project?
It's based somewhat on the way that the Spalding Garden is, and it'll be open for visitors, and, be open days. But I mean, it's there all the time for residents of Winter Valley.
Right.
And their friends.
So could we do something similar that we have it, like, would you be open to having open hours for the community?
Absolutely.
And just one more question, the current development that's happening for the additional, I guess, 36 units or something like that?
Yes,
Does
building
that-
6.
Does that abut this, or how close is it to the garden?
It doesn't, so behind this project, beyond it is building 5, and the new building 6 is behind that. So it's walkable, yes.
But not, it's
It's-
not abutting.
but not abutting. Not abutting.
And there's some distance,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
And building 6 is underway,
Yeah,
yeah,
building August 2027.
completion.
Great.
move in, and that's the
Move in.
scheduled
Wow,
move in.
that'd be
Yeah.
great.
That's
That'd be a
fantastic.
year.
Great.
Coming along nicely.
So I know you haven't obviously started phase 1 yet, but is there anything that's come up at this point that you? Do you anticipate any problems with phase 1?
No problems at all.
And
Go most smoothly.
so you'll be ready for phase 2, when town meeting, would have,
When I come back.
yeah. In May of 2027, the town meeting would have this in front. of us.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Great, thank you for the tour, by the way, that was really helpful for those.
And anybody else done it, I'd be happy to show them.
Yeah, it was really, it's a beautiful.
So I can contact you and you give me a private tour.
Absolutely.
I'll be contacting.
Yeah, it's right, you missed that.
Great.
I did miss.
Yeah,
I also on the application.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Marita.
Thank you.
Happy to give you a tour also.
All right, next up on the agenda is Regina Campbell Malone and the Pagoda. The Pagoda, the Circle Restoration. So Regina, can you hear us?
Hello, hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, great. I also have 2 collaborators that are listening in, and if they want to say something, they're welcome to raise their hands, I think, right?
Okay, so that's Alyssa and Christina.
Yeah.
So I can just allow them to talk,
Okay.
and
Sounds
they don't
good.
have to if they don't want to, but
Okay. And would I be able to share my slideshow with you? It is not, if not, it's not that big a deal.
yeah,
just-
so is it the one you sent with the application? Or-
No, it's an updated one. Did I send a
Okay.
slideshow with the application?
No.
No,
Okay,
so let me promote you to
Okay.
panelist,
got it.
and if you accept the panelist invitation, you can then share your slides. Only one slide is allowed, no, just kidding.
You have to allow yourself. Allow, so.
I think that's a phone.
Okay, great. We can see the presentation, and Regina, the only thing I would say is if you could speak up a little bit, we were having a
Sure.
little hard time hearing, and I don't know how to.
Sure,
adjust the
no
volume
problem.
on the-
You don't have to tell me twice, Tom. I got you.
Okay.
All right. All right. So, just a quick refresher, we're addressing safety and accessibility and also some environmental restoration at Pagoda Circle. Just to give you a really brief rundown, this is the area. Let me see if I can you guys see my pointer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the area between Hudson Street and Victoria Street, basically. And we've got this more open area on one side and an oak tree stand on the other. And this is where we're located in town. So kind of south of the Tucker School. The biggest feature of this little park is that oak tree stand and that larger open area. What we've found is that it's a huge asset for families that are within walking distance. It's a local bus stop, And it's used for nature exploration and lots of small events and meetups for dog walking and other things. And as a reminder, the space is not really large enough to support any larger team sports. So the idea is really to try and refresh and revitalize what's there, including evaluating the oak tree stand to see what needs to be done to restore it, and removing some invasive species that we know are there. And the CPA mechanism seemed like a really great way to do this. In 2024, we received phase one funding, and that kicked off a community engagement process that was long and very important. MAPC was part of that process thanks to some funding from the MPIC. They did a whole visioning process. There were surveys and listening sessions and two visioning sessions held for a wider audience. We've engaged with Lombardi landscape architects to try and determine what is feasible in that area. And for the amount that we still have, and it was I believe it was $12,000. We are going to be able to have them put together three renderings of what may be possible in the area. And we also have decided to go with Hunt Tree Service, which has worked closely with Lombardi in the past in order to evaluate tree health. Um, so um, what we're applying for now is money to be used once we have those three variations in hand to gain more community feedback and buy-in, and will allow us to submit a full proposal in September with those three variations in mind. We also have some, we haven't touched on yet the road replacement, and that is just a note for us to check in with DPW on that. There's some concern that somehow the road replacement has been missed in this area. And so
Has been what?
may have been missed in these areas.
So
One resident
it might have been on the schedule and then skipped, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, there one
Okay.
resident who's been there for 20 years says it hasn't been done since she moved in. So we want to check
Okay.
on that and see what the status of that is, and see what type of traffic mitigation measures can be put into place there. So we think that these goals match the open space and recreation ideals and goals of the CPA, and that ideally these plans also align with the master plan and the shade tree initiative as we're trying to restore that oak stand. So we in brief discussions earlier this month, we had a chance to speak with Bill Madden and to sort of provide him with some of the feedback from residents and our small working group about the types of things that the neighbors are interested in seeing, and some things that they're absolutely not interested in seeing. So we're looking forward to seeing what they can draft and what types of things are possible for this little beloved park.
Okay, anybody else from Alyssa or Christina, does anybody else want to say anything, or we can just, open for questions from the committee? Hearing none, questions from the committee?
I'll just say that, I live not too far from this community. And yearly they have a pagoda circle party. I don't know if some of you have been there.
Yeah.
And just anecdotally, last year we typically have brought ice cream and stuff there, and we brought the ice cream truck up, well, the ice cream case up to around where the woods were, and we heard this crackling sound. and a huge limb fell off a tree.
Oh, no.
And almost, I mean, massive, like probably 5 feet away from us. Could have killed me or Chris Gillen, who owns Ice Cream Smith. So they absolutely, there is some major tree work that needs to be done up there because there's some maintenance issues on the trees and whatnot. So anecdotally, I would say that, they totally did.
Cause the land
Yeah.
is town owned.
It is.
Yes.
Parkland.
It's parkland.
So Jenny and then Kathleen.
2 questions. Does the Lombardi landscape, was that part of an open bid, and does it have to be part of an open bid? to
Not if
choose
it's
them?
under 50,
Under 52,000?
50,
Yeah.
Under
5,
50.
50.
Okay, under 50,000. Okay, thank you. And then I was just also curious about the mulberry tree conflict that was mentioned. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So one part of the conflict was resolved by nature itself. Half of the mulberry tree kind of got hit by another tree as it was coming down, and so that was
What is one of
removed
these
by
trees?
DPW during following a big storm. So only one part of it is still remaining, and it's still, it's limping along, and it's already starting to put out berries that should be ready by the end of this month, maybe beginning of July.
So was the
Um,
conflict whether to keep it or not? What was
The
the,
conflict was whether to cut down certainly to cut down that branch that was relatively horizontal and had a hole in it that you would stick your arm through. Um, and now, um, in keeping or removing the mulberry tree are going to be part of the variations that are put forward. We will also lean heavily on the the arborist to help us with that decision. And if that person and their expertise tell us that the tree is not salvageable, then what we'd love to do is perhaps plant a new mulberry tree in its place, in a nod to the history of that tree and the connection that a lot of people have to it. So.
yeah.
Kathleen? Okay. Other questions?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you've outlined here, your slide that's up, it says phase 2 proposal. But I think those first 3 things is the work that was supposed to be done with the first phase. And as I understand it, that's ongoing. And then the money that you're asking for us now is really implementation funds, which would come after that.
Yes, so that's where
So
the
the scope of
submitting the
work
full proposal.
the scope of work for this proposal is not that. The scope of work will be outlined in your full proposal in September.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important. Important.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy.
Thanks, Tom. I'm real excited to hear you talk about the potential of this being considered under also considered under the historic preservation bucket. And could you please tell us more about the aspects of the pagoda history and how, if that was included in the planning process with MAPC?
Yeah. So, one of the things that we found really interesting was the namesake of Pagoda Circle is a pagoda, a small relic pagoda that was up in the woods themselves, and it was put there by the Forbes family that had deep ties to the Chinese or trade with China. And so one of the aspects that we wanted to engage with is trying to figure out what that history was, what that pagoda looked like, and perhaps to incorporate an educational and historical awareness piece that might involve a board that has that information on it, right? Maybe if we can find a rendering of what the pagoda looked like and some of the history behind it, that would be ideal.
Have you reached out to the Forbes House Museum?
Not yet, no.
There's it would be wonderful if you guys could collaborate in some way on this project. We here at the Community Preservation Committee have been working closely with the Forbes House in the past on different projects, and I would imagine they'd be amenable to collaborating with you folks on something like this.
Absolutely. It'd be great if there was an intern or anyone else available to help us with some of the research.
Cool. They are, I think, gonna be with us on July 6th. Forbes House for
Yay.
their
Oh, that's
own
great.
application. Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
And I'm sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah,
follow up.
yeah.
There's still a difference between the total project cost and what you're asking, so you're hoping the difference is coming from where?
Are you talking about the balance,
Yes.
the balance of funds?
Yeah.
Can you be more clear? Are you talking about the 82,000?
Well, 82,000, what you're requesting, but that you have listed the total project cost of 97,000.
Yeah, yeah. So we will look to additional resources, additional granting agencies, and possibly fundraising to try and raise some additional funds.
So nothing confirmed at this point.
Nope.
Okay.
What was the estimate based off of, Regina?
It was based off of other projects of similar size. So Beverly Park, we looked at a few other small initiatives in Mattapan. But really it's going to boil down to what those variations look like coming
Right.
from Lombardy. So we'll have a better idea of the numbers going
Okay,
forward
so-
before we submit our proposal.
All right.
So because it's over 50. So Jenny's just asking whether it has to be an open bid.
It would,
It will be, because it'll be done by the town.
yeah.
Yeah, because
But
it's not.
the variations right now, for Lombardi, those are covered by our phase 1 funds. So that didn't have
Correct.
to be
Right,
built
right,
in.
yes.
You will,
But the
so my
next
only,
stage,
yeah, my only comment, Regina, would be because this is parkland, you'll wanna, what I would suggest is reach out to Carolyn Cahill, who's the chair of the Parks
Mhm.
Department now.
Mhm,
And try to get on our schedule so that you can present to them once you're in the process to get
That's great.
support.
Awesome.
Because it will be administered through them, through the parks.
Got it. So they'll handle all of the any bidding process that might have to happen and the
Yes.
maybe not. Yes,
Yes.
question mark. Okay.
Yes, I mean, because we're such a small town, I think it often happens through Nick Milano
Yeah.
and folks, yeah,
But they'll be looking for you to provide the information
yeah,
Yeah.
to go out to bidders.
right.
That's great.
So you need to do a lot of work in the next, between now and September to get this project.
Well, I think it's a good thing that I'm a teacher and I'm so
Yeah.
that works.
All right.
All right, any other questions? All right, Regina, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
For your stewardship of this and for the
All right.
application. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you, Regina.
Thank you.
All
So
right,
the 1908 atlas shows a tower on that parcel.
Pagoda and Tower?
No pagoda, just a
Just a
tower
tower.
There was a tower.
owned by the Blue Hills Terrace Company.
Blue Hills what company?
Blue
How
Hills
big, how big
Terrace
of a tear?
Company.
Blue
Very
Hill
small.
Terrace Street,
Interesting.
right there.
Well, they laid out on the lots, and there was like 5, there was 10.
Steve, do you know, do you know anything then?
No.
You're my like,
You've got,
read Milton history.
you've got some more to do.
Yeah.
Check the, was it 1906 atlas?
Yes, 1905.
We've got another historic resource here.
Yeah.
Rita, do you know anything about?
No, I've always been curious about how the park department. We've got probably tax taking would be my guess.
Because I always
Yeah.
thought maybe a contractor just, it was leftover land and. I don't know.
No, my suspicion is, looking at the plan and my use of what happens at the registry, is that it was a subdivision and it was designed with the circle in the middle as an amenity for the house lots that were being designed. And so that's why it probably shows as Blue Hill Terrace Company, because they would have held that, as they would have owned the roads and all that sort of thing.
I've not been able to find when it was.
When it was acquired.
Interesting.
Okay, let's move on to the next, John Kiernan from the Conservation Commission on the Open Space Preservation Trust application.
Thank you
Go
very
ahead,
much.
John.
Good evening, all.
Hi, John.
From the Conservation Commission. So mine is somewhat of a, or ours is a conceptual proposal because we don't have a specific piece of land or conservation restriction in mind right now. But our I'm speaking of the Conservation Commission, our mandate, our charter is to protect and preserve and enhance open space. I could give you a long speech about climate change and the importance of battle with climate change, because we've got increase in flooding, we get inland flooding, we've got rising sea levels, we've got increased severity of storms and whatnot. It's very important that we have open space. We try to be collaborative in our approach, and we work with the STAC, the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. We work with the Open Space Committee, which is now, I think, been re-energized and is coming back strong. So we look to collaboration in identifying and inventorying all the open space that we have. That's one component of the proposal. The other is to figure out where all the conservation restrictions are. Because some of them are privately held and we don't know about them. We can categorize and inventory what we know about. And we know a lot about that. The Master Plan Committee did it back in 2014. Most of us used John Cronin's inventory. That was sort of the basis of our inventory at that time. It's grown since then. What we really need to do, and this is the proposal, is to identify parcels of land that have enough space that could provide a conservation restriction. Now, the preservation fund, the dream design is to have enough money come in cumulatively over a number of years to buy land. That's the dream. Because I don't think we could do what Norwell did. They bought 114 acres of open space with $3 million. And I contacted their
Norwell or
Norwell.
Yeah.
Norwell. And I mean, we don't have 114 acres of open space, I think. But if we could buy it, it would be great, but we don't have the money for that. It would take a long time. I'd ask for 100,000 acres, a few years to get.
So is this even, I'm just curious, because I know like the Massachusetts, we have the Affordable Trust here and we give money to it.
Yes.
Is it a vehicle for the CPC to give money to an open space trust similarly? Is that even a vehicle? Can you do that? Because what you're speaking of anyways is.
Norwell did it.
Norwell did it?
They did it. That's why I called them.
Well, no, it's what they don't have, I mean, conservation commissions have the ability to accept town funds for open space purchases. It's not a separate entity.
Right.
Like affordable housing trusts are a separate entity.
Right.
And I don't think whether you're talking about.
I question the
Looking for
legality of
an
it.
account, just like we have a revolving. fund.
Yeah, so it'd be money going to your revolving fund.
I don't want
But
to.
not revolving, but it'd be going into, it'd be going into an open space acquisition fund under the Conservation Commission. It would not be like the Affordable Housing Trusts, which are separate, statutory separately. done.
Controlled by separate.
But you still think it's legal, so I guess I just don't see. Here's my issue with it. I'm all for open space, but this committee has the same power as you would, like if we wanted to go out and get open space. And put up a purchase for open space, this committee could do that with the funds that we have.
We wouldn't,
No.
no.
This committee, the CPC,
No.
or
Someone would have to.
We
bring a
would be,
proposal
we
before
would be,
Well,
going-
true,
we
true.
would be
I did.
Sure.
providing money
True.
to the town for to acquisition
Sure.
by the town, by the Conservation Commission.
Right.
Be the
yeah.
custodian of it.
Right, yeah, we'd be
Right.
still be the custodian of it.
We
So
wouldn't be
you
the
could- you
custodian,
could
the
come,
town.
But I guess my issue is like. Just putting money in to a fund that hypothetically. We buy open space eventually. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just throwing money to a hole. And one thing I would say is that, I remember, because I chaired this committee 4 years ago, that you came before us for a project that I'm especially interested in, is the bridge over by Pepperly Park, and I still have yet to see it constructed.
We met today on it. The estimated time of completion is October. I was with Darwin Savalas, who's Assistant Sky. I was with Professor Dulowski from Northeastern University Engineering. They are doing the engineering for us. Estimated time of completion is up to.
All right, great.
And that's the bridge, just to be clear, the bridge for, Pope's Pond.
Yes,
Yeah.
Beverly Park is underway.
Right,
Valley Bosworth has equipment down there.
Yeah, we know.
They did.
But that was 4 years ago.
It
4
is.
years ago, yeah,
Right.
okay.
And 4 years ago, when I was here, I asked for $100,000 for
And now,
682 Blue Hill Avenue, 6.8 acres. It was up for bid, and I had a deal with a neighbor that wanted to buy it and asked for $100,000, and he said no. So I need a pot of money.
Right, so what is the conservation, as a housing guy, right, what is the conservation restriction cost? I mean, I'm sure there's a varied answer to this, but you know, like if you.
No buildings.
Huh?
No buildings.
No, what does it cost? Like to buy a conservation restriction, it can be.
Anything.
Yeah.
That was $100,000 contribution. It actually sold for $3 million.
Yeah,
But at the time, they were bidding up from 2 million.
yeah,
So I had a bidder that was bidding it to 2 million. She got outbid. But she had agreed that if she could buy it for 2 with our 1, that she would take that 6.8 acres, put a conservation restriction on the entire 6.8 acres and provide public access with trails. It didn't work. She lost the bid.
Right.
And then the money anyway.
right,
But I'm not suggesting that the 100,000 would have made it work.
yeah.
She was outbid by the developer.
But the concept is similar, although the structures are the same. The concept is similar as how we fund the Affordable Housing Trust. To have money that's available, so when something comes up, you know, you don't have to wait 2 years to go through our process to get money, that there's funds that you could direct toward that kind of project.
Correct.
and how much
With-
would you be
without-
looking for per year or whatever,
$100,000,
every year?
yes. Because if we put enough into it, we could buy the land. Now, I'm not suggesting we're gonna wait 30 years to get $3 million, but I'm suggesting that the more money there, the more we can buy, and it may be purchasing land. And some of it might be isolated land, you know, isolated by, you know, you build you know, 4 streets, and there's a centerpiece. And it's probably, it's a pocket, right, so that's gonna be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But there's other stuff that could be developed that, and it's gonna sound anti-development, it is. We're trying to keep open space, so if somebody's got a 2-acre project. And they say, well, I could cut off 1 acre, I can go to the planning board, the ZBA, I can build a house there. He said, no. For $100,000, give us a CR on that acre, don't build a house there, keep the trees. That's where we're gonna get in open space support, we're getting stack support, the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. That the whole idea is get the tree canopy back, fight the climate change. It's not anti-development in the sense of.
It seems like a really expensive venture when I'm looking at $6 million worth of project here, right? And so it's also a tenth you're asking for this budget to go to this hypothetical, maybe we'll get this and we can buy this here. So for me, it's tough to get there because it's, okay, here's $100,000 and I know an acre in Milton's $1 million, right? That land is one of the most expensive things in this town. So if you came to me and said, hey, I got a project that we can do $1 million and I'm gonna, whatever this is, then it's a little bit more tangible for me, I guess. I guess I'm just having trouble to like throw money down into a constant thing that's gonna be $100,000 a year. That will be.
We don't have a source, we can't bid.
What in my.
Sorry, Jenny's
Go ahead.
waiting, I'm waiting, then you're.
I'm not saying anything.
No, wait, I just wanna make sure everybody gets a chance to ask the questions, but one question, so. Is the advantage of this is it gives you the ability to act expeditiously?
Yes.
You wouldn't necessarily then have to go to town meeting and ask for their permission, right? You could just. Negotiate the CR and execute the CR
Correct.
without any other approval.
Correct.
Okay, which is similar to the Affordable Housing Trust as well.
It is.
It's varies.
Right.
It's an opportunity fund.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jenny.
Better for it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is what the Trust for Public Land does, and so to what extent have you worked with them on properties here in Milton?
We have not directly, but what we give, remember I said a collaborative effort, we keep an eye on the planning board and the CPA. We picked up about an acre of open space at Wentworth Farms, and when the infrastructure went in, we got land back for that permit. When we did, let me see, what, Scott Woods, it was one lot, it was about a 2 acre lot. It's at, I'll give you the address, 153 Hillside Street is a driveway. And there's a Webb Collins actually bought it, built it. We got a half an acre of open space because.
Without
the
public
driveway.
access. It has no public access on that, Forbes, that Ford Hill Ranch Road conservation land.
Yes.
That Webb Collins set up doesn't allow public access.
Yeah, you're right, but I'll tell you,
So
but there's
that's a
another,
big
no,
issue
you're right.
too.
But it is, right, that,
Huge
we're
issue.
looking for. My goal, public access, handicapped accessible, that's the goal.
And so
Sometimes-
CPA funding would want to have public.
Would
access.
require
You would want to
absolutely.
require it.
Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't.
But then the problem is if it's already gone to them, we don't have any.
We have no control over it.
Well, wouldn't we in the grant agreement? Cause like the Affordable Housing Trust,
Yeah.
I mean, just
Right.
crazy
Very
examples,
loose.
right, couldn't fund non-affordable housing.
Right.
With our affordable housing money, because that's the
Right.
restriction on it,
Right.
so presumably we could put some.
It's in our chart that it would be 88.
Okay, follow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you have a portfolio of places where you're like ready to move right now?
No, we don't. We wait for subdivisions to come in. We look at those. We cluster zoning is one we got up on Highland Street. Dennis and Martha Burke did a cluster zoning development. We picked up, I don't know what the acre is. It's not much. But it's a percentage of the parcel of land that we picked up there. So we're always looking, again, it's collaborative. We're looking for it. And we're trying to work with the open space committee on, Avante Grady is assembling a whole list of open spaces. And what can be done there. We're meeting tomorrow, Wednesday on Flatley Field. That's already under conservation restriction. We're looking to see how we can, address the conservation issue, make sure everything stays, natural. That's the whole purpose of, so we, the Conservation Commission, tries to work through planning board, ZBA, trying to find what property is up for sale. And we didn't get much at Walcott Woods and, Ken Carberry's land, but Ken actually sold, I think 30 acres to it was still the MDC then, DCR. So that's what we look for. So we're trying to get on board, we're trying to hold as many hands as we can. And I know we're with the Wildlands Trust because when Peter Jeffries and John Cronin and Ken Wendell, they basically dissolved the Milton Conservation Land Trust. They gave some of it to the Wildlands Trust based in Plymouth, they gave some of it to us. So we've got all kinds of little spots, like down by St. Michael's Church on Randolph Avenue. We've got, I don't know, 4 or 5. In fact, there's one right on Randolph Avenue where School Street dead ends. There's a fence there. And so somebody asked, why is there a fence there? There's public land. So that's on me. I'm supposed to take the fence down. But that's what we look for. Pieces of land, and that's what John Cronin and Ted and Peter Jeffries, that's what they would do. And they kind of handed the mantle to us and to the Wildlands Trust. So again, it's as much of collaboration as we can do, but we need the capacity and good turn.
I think the thing we have to remember is this meeting is about whether it's eligible to move forward with a full proposal. Once we have the proposals in, we're gonna have to struggle with our budget versus the $6 million in requests. So that's kind of the next phase. But for right now, it's really to determine whether this would be an eligible project for a CPA application or not. And, I would guess that it is. I don't know that out of the $6 million, how high it would float, but I think it certainly meets the eligibility requirements for CPA funding.
Yeah, no, I concur with that. I think other CPA funds, we can research that, but I think have
Yeah, if it's
done
big
done
done.
with the money, but. Other questions, Kathleen, did you have questions?
I just, you know, wanted to point out that we've got two proposals so far that have been, we'd like to find open space, we don't know what we have, and we want to do recreation, we want to park someplace in an area that's underserved. And both of those things strike me as people coming to us when we really should be looking at the open space plan and the master plan. I mean, and so those, and ages ago, when I was on the planning board, Allison Quinn was putting together the list of, what open space is available. And I don't know what happened with that, because just last week, I got this message from Meredith Hall saying, what were the parcels that Wildlands didn't take from the Milton Land Trust? Because I handled the dissolution of that trust. And so I'm like, I've provided this information to the town at least 6 times. And so, so
they have a consultant on board that is supposedly pulling that together.
They've been pulling it together for 2.5 years, the committee has done that for 2 years. So same reason why I asked about the bridge that hasn't been built for 4 years. So I'm happy that you're doing it, but let's move forward with some of these projects, right? So I hope, right, that we can move forward. And that's the biggest thing.
But I think all that goes to me is to say that, I hate to see money kind of locked up someplace that isn't getting used.
Exactly.
And so that people should know, I mean, when I work with other committees, Norwell is an example, other towns are an example where they know that this farm is gonna pop. It's under 61A, the town has a right of first refusal, we're gonna save the bazillion dollars we need to buy it. And they know that, and so everybody has like the wish list, and so we don't even know what we should have a wish list for.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm
so-
with you 1,000%.
So I'm not comfortable with the idea of locking up money that we don't even have a shopping list for.
I would just say that's fine.
But I
saying-
agree.
But Pete's
Pete's point is absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
is correct.
Pete's absolutely
correct.
But this round is, we've
Exactly.
asked for ideas, we've
Yeah.
asked for, and applicants have come to us to determine eligibility,
Yeah.
We'll make a formal decision at probably our July 20th meeting on eligibility, and we'll communicate to everybody, but yeah, I think you've heard the consensus here, I think it is an eligible project, and, you also are hearing the work in between. That you might have to do to convince some of the committee members, but ultimately, we are in the eligibility stage only right at this point. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, to your point, part of the proposal is, it's not on the sheet in front of you, but the detail would be public education. If we have the capacity to buy, we can then go to the public and say, listen, if you've got more than an acre, are you willing to sell it? The CR, I don't mean the land, because you can't afford it.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you know, I've been practicing real estate law for a bazillion years. And I just closed on a deal with Essex Greenbelt. And so, Essex bought my client's property. Some part of that is gonna be CR, some of it's a house sale. But people know we have community preservation money. We're on the list. Everybody knows, a developer knows, all the people that do real estate development, land trust know Milton has CPA money, and they know that that's a possibility. So in that situation, Wenham actually bought a CR on some of the property, so that offset the cost to Essex. So people know that. We've done our job of letting people know that we have CPA money available. So we expect somebody to come to us to say, hi, we've got, we're interested in this piece of property, blah, blah, some of it may not really work, but how about, working with this committee? And Wendy knows that from her years serving on the Plymouth one, because that's the same thing. They came here and said, okay, fine, what can you do? So far, that hasn't happened for us. There may be some developer that comes along in a few years with some project, and we would certainly be the place that you would come to this committee because we have the money. And then we would be working with you to say whether or not this has any sort of conservation value to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the normal process, is that people come to the committee that has the cash, which would be us. And then And then we would fund whatever we decided to fund to get whatever we needed from the CR. But it's usually a combination of a lot of things and people, want tax deductions and, they're gonna be, part of it's a gift and how we're gonna get that through the IRS and dueling appraisals and all that kind of stuff. It gets pretty complicated. So it's not as simple.
I'm not screwing with you, I think the one, significant downside from that is the speed at which you can act, right? You can't act with any speed in that process. Because you're gonna come to us in May, when was our deadline? May, yeah, it comes in May for a vote in the next,
Money's the next July.
next May.
Yeah, but
It's a year
Yeah.
and then funds released in.
But we could have always done, if we had something that somebody came up to us for now, we could certainly say, okay, yeah, that's terrific, and go into the October meeting.
And
We have some
this-
flexibility.
in this year, we're gonna be asked to do that at least once or twice,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly, no, good point. All right, anything else?
But it's still a great idea.
Thank you very much.
Okay, John, thank you very much, and thank you also for the update on the.
Bridge, on the
Oak
bridge.
Fund. We know that Northeastern has not, there's been some.
They haven't gone out of it.
Yeah.
They definitely haven't gone out of
We
business.
did see the parking at the ice house, that, part of the conservation land, so,
I think it's a picture of the parking.
yeah, I was excited to see.
And the pathway through that's another one of your proposals.
Yeah.
That we're still waiting for the connection from the path, the Beverly
Yeah.
playground to our new path. And then to make the whole thing handicap accessible.
Mm,
Yeah.
So that's funded, but
mm.
it's the bridge.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
I know that's the whole.
It's the number one question I get
Thank
asked
you,
about
John.
our CPA project. All right, we are right on time and we're gonna be a little ahead of time because next applicant, Milton Landing Bowhouse, has asked to postpone their appearance until the July sixth, so. So why don't I take this opportunity to update people so that they will be coming on July sixth. The other news on applicants is, I guess this is not 100% official, but I've been informed by the Houston Ave Bioswale, if I'm pronouncing that right, project, that they are gonna withdraw and not move forward. They're just quite ready, I think, and.
They're gonna be eligible anyways.
They might, I mean, there was an issue about whether, it's sort of but we won't have to get into that,
Won't
they're
have to
gonna
get-
withdraw. Possibly to reapply next year, but they wanna do some more thinking.
And which project was that?
It was the Houston Ave Bioswale, they're using the tree lawn to have runoff, runoff, sort of avoid going into the sewer, and it was an intriguing idea. I wasn't sure the private land versus the tree lawn and, that type of stuff, but it was a pilot project to test it along a 150-foot strip to see if it did have an impact on rainwater and stormwater runoff. So it was an interesting project, a homeowner on Houston Ave had proposed, so.
Wow.
So, but they are, I think, well, they have informed me, that they're, so one less applicant. Milton.
That makes our job easy.
Milton.
Too bad it was only 7,500. How about one of the ones that?
Applicants instead of 22, and so one other update, just the Affordable Housing Trust voted at their last meeting, $600,000 to the Milton Housing Authority.
Yeah.
So, so I think effectively the Milton Housing Authority proposal is withdrawn.
Oh, I was hoping that would happen.
And
That's great.
the Affordable Housing Trust is not, because they're hoping.
To get the third.
They're hoping to recoup some of those costs, obviously, but they've already, based on their surplus, not surplus, but based on their reserves. They have already voted, at their last
Okay,
meeting,
good.
$600,000.
That's,
So that,
Yeah.
so we're making some progress here. All right,
Yeah.
the next one on the agenda is Andrews Field, but Kevin is not here. I told him 8 o'clock, I think, so.
Yeah, I told him I would. cover it.
Oh, you're gonna cover it, okay.
Yeah,
You're
so-
gonna cover, so Rob, why don't you cover the next two then?
Yeah, is it possible to pull up the Andrews?
It is.
Application?
Yeah.
And then I have the other. Then I can talk specifics, but in essence, the Andrew Field. Restoration project, for those who were on the committee, I think all of you were last year. We had put forth, it's basically the same application as last year, and what we did was we pulled it last year. Because we were doing the recreational master plan, for those of you who remember. So we pulled that knowing that let's figure out if that's the right location for it. And when we went through our study. In the recreational master plan, we're getting close to tying that up, we'll be done.
Anything else other than this, was it just?
I'm just curious, I think it was around 300,000, right?
Oh,
I'm just looking at the in total.
300 project cost and 185 there.
185, okay, so. Basically, in essence, it's the same project, but I think, so Milton Soccer has given $10,000 for it, I think Kevin was looking for around 100 something. And whatever the request is, 185, right? So in essence, it's the same project. Our consultant who did our recreational master plan figured out like the field should stay in the same place that it's in. And if my wife was here, she'd tell you how unsafe the field is because of the way it's been played on. It's really used quite a lot, and this restoration would do a ton of good for the programs that use it. So Milton Soccer uses it quite a bit. I know that lacrosse uses it, and Fontbonne actually uses it as well. So what I told my wife is I think the other two we should work on trying to get funding for, because they are users of it, and Milton Soccer has committed some money. So I think before the next application, we'll look at that with Kevin. But that's in essence the application.
So it's really a reconstruction of the field, the grass
The
surface.
existing grass surface.
It's none of the infrastructure or any other activities. It's taking the grass surface of the playing fields. itself.
Excavating down and building a whole up new base to redo the surface as grass as is.
So it would only, all that work would only, they would only miss the summer. See, I mean, it basically, it would be ready for fall.
It would be
right?
ready for fall, but could go, over.
That's, I know nothing about this, but that seems, quick.
And where does the estimate come from?
Kevin, he knows, I think he knows what the cost is to redo it, so that's who gave the information back.
I was sort of curious if there was an interest in having it be an AstroTurf and not obviously apply to CPA. Was there any support for that?
No, and I think our committee, like, I don't, there's no interest at Andrews. It's basically to keep it grass.
Yeah, it was great.
I don't think the neighbors would want it.
I don't think the neighbors would go
Especially
for
what
it.
have to happen, lower guy.
But what I will say is an interesting topic, with for that is that, potentially if there's fencing for around it, I would be for fencing a field, because if we're spending $300,000 on a grass field, we better make sure that the surface remains that way, because dogs and stuff actually tear up the irrigation lines and stuff. So it's just something for us to consider. And I don't know if the fencing would be included in this, but that would be something that we would want to figure out. I think you would be able to at least get in to the field. Like, we wouldn't want to lock it up, but I think it's just so that, and that park is quite big.
Well, there's a lot, there are a lot of dogs there.
There's a ton. There's a ton. Yeah, there's a ton. So,
And they're mostly not on leashes.
no, right. So if we just fenced it, but had it open, so anybody in the community can go and use it, great, but it would keep the dogs into the open space areas in the park. And it would help maintain that field for anybody who wanted to use it, but would keep the dogs up. But to answer your question, I think turf in Andrews is a bad idea.
And what's the status of the, total plan? Who said that it's coming?
The whole town-wide recreational master
Yeah.
plan will be, I think it's gonna be done in about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're going to present at the select board. And similarly to what John said, we're looking at Flatley Field as a potential opportunity for new park there. And so we're gonna look at that.
Has there been a draft circulated or anything to the public, as a public?
We're gonna have, so there's gonna be a public community meeting once this, in the next couple of weeks, so. Yeah, so once the plan is finished, then we'll go out to the community and have a community meeting in July. And then the next step would be to present that to the select board. So,
Is this considered a priority within that plan?
yeah, I mean, it's one of the priorities in there. Yeah.
Okay, other questions? Okay, any questions, Robbie or Hal?
No questions for me.
Okay,
Sorry, just assuming that the town is coming up with a difference.
Yes.
115, okay.
Yeah,
all right, the next project is also Rob.
Geo,
Field.
yeah, so,
Is the softball field.
yeah, so a lot,
Where is
just
The softball field.
is at the one at the high school.
Called Geo Field, it's
yeah.
renamed Geo, or was.
It's the one we
a few-
funded
Yeah.
last
few
year.
years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So what was interesting is that we did fund one project, the phase one project for this project. So along first baseline, it's a new cage. But remember, there was like stairs that went off the ADA ramp. So Kevin, myself met with Bill, who's the
But that
landscaper.
project hasn't been done, obviously. Yeah.
Because of July, right? And
Right.
so it's going to start within soon. On July 1st, it gets going.
Yeah.
That project will roll out. But once we were there because we needed surveys and whatever to get that project done. Some of the softball board they said, okay, well, we have another ask, or we're looking for doing the next phase, which is what's here. And so I was there and I said, well, what about, just like a lot of these projects, doing the study, the design for this is to help regrid the hillside. But it continues, anyone who knows, like, it goes down that by the high school, there's a huge ramp. And at the bottom of that ramp, the idea is to push that ramp back a bit and create better stands. So right now, a lot of folks go up up by the parking lot. So it'd be improving spectator amenities between the dugouts, fixing the ramp and helping for safety. Right now, there's a lot of washout too. I don't know. I go over there all the time, probably for my kids, but there's a lot of washout from the top of the hill and it goes down and it basically washes out to this ramp. So we would fix that as well. And then I think I talked to you, Tom, about whether or not this was eligible, like if a press box or a concessionary, if it was open or not, I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, if it's not a completely fixed piece, is it fundable? But this anyways is for the design and study of doing these amenities for it, but I don't know if, like, in the future, would the press box or the concession area be fundable? I guess that's a question back to you, Kathleen.
Or research that, I don't think it is, but I
don't think it is.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
I don't give a definitive.
People have, and they've included it in the whole redo of the field.
Okay.
You know, sort of like there's, concession stands and press boxes and all that, lights and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I think it's been included, I don't think it's a great idea, but I
Okay.
think it's been part of the whole project.
Okay.
And not called out as that. And that seems to have worked.
Okay.
But if the project is not a whole project for the field, and
Yeah.
it's solely to put in a concession stand and press box, then it's a different.
Yeah, it's a different
Then it's a
story.
different
This is
thing.
more about like regrading.
Yeah,
Ramp
right.
and like the stands.
And
I
making
think
it more
that,
accessible and all that sort of stuff.
right, and I think too, so why this came about too was because the first phase And we're putting steps up to that ramp so
Mhm.
that it's easily accessible over there. It's like a natural progression, like that goes into where these stands would be.
Yeah.
So that's
That,
why we're like, okay, let's put this forward so that while they're designing the phase one, that there's a thought about phase two to make sure that it's coordinated well together.
So the phase one project is putting stairs at the bottom of this ramp?
So it's in the middle of the ramp. So where the cage
You're
is,
saying if you're putting stairs, then it's no longer an accessible ramp.
it's still accessible. There's stairs, the stairs come off of the ramp, off the side of the ramp. Yeah. So if it once, and also that stair that's coming down has a landing, so that landing potentially goes into seating areas that's like kind of on the landscape.
We'll see a plan at some point.
Yeah, at some point, yeah, we'll see it. But this, just keep in mind that this was only for design work and stuff. I said, listen, same thing, be smart and plan for this first before you go in and just say, hey, we're gonna spend however X amount of money.
Yeah.
While you're doing this first phase, do the planning for it, and more importantly, it's also the engineering, so it's like survey and the geotechnical engineering for that as well.
Okay.
And then Milton softball has agreed, like they said, we'll put 10,000, the parks department would put 10,000, so we're looking for 30,000. That's it.
Okay. Questions on this? Thank you for adding that, yeah, it is a plan, yeah, it's a design work, what's called.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, any questions? All right, we are at Steve and the Olmsted landscape assessments. We're supposed to be at 8:30 and it's 8:00. We're doing good.
There's no A in Olmsted,
There's no what?
A in Olmsted.
The landscape architect must know.
Oh, on the agenda.
On the agenda.
Oh, it was Tom.
That was my mistake.
Right. Milton Historical Commission proposes to undertake an inventory of projects planned by or designed by the Olmsted firm. And I think everybody knows it, the Olmsted landscape firm, Frederick R. Olmsted. And I think a lot of people don't know that he was active in Milton. Besides his work for the Metropolitan Parks Commission, now DCR, Blue Hills Reservation, the Ponset Reservation, the Ponset Valley Parkway, and Blue Hills Parkway, all of which properties have extensive records and which are listed on the National Register. A review of the firm's records finds 18 project numbers assigned to work in Milton, including 3 for the town, 2 other public projects, 2 semi-public, and 11 private. The study would include a review of records to determine the extent of each project, what was actually implemented, try to ID current owners and seek their awareness of the projects and their history, and locate any records of planning, design, or changes over time, and where possible, visit and document existing conditions. A report would be prepared to summarize the findings and make recommendations that could be used to preserve, protect, and restore these landscapes and help to understand the legacy of the importance of these landscapes in Milton. We intend to engage landscape architect Peter Jackson to undertake this study, which may be really an outgrowth of his previous study of the pine grove and landscape at Winter Valley. Mr. Jackson estimates that this project report and presentation would take approximately 1,000 hours and incur between $500 and $1,000 in direct costs for obtaining documents, printing images, creating the report, and public presentation. This is a somewhat nominal sum for a project of this sort. Mr. Jackson has indicated that the difference between this amount and the realistic cost of the project would be a donation for the community benefit.
I thought you were retired.
Yeah.
He just can't help himself.
I took the tour of Winter Valley with Marita and Peter, and I was impressed with what I found
Yeah,
there. I mean, the sunken garden, the pond, the grove, the whole thing. Who knew about it?
yeah.
Rita probably did, but who knew about it? Well, who knows about what else is in town, perhaps not preserved to that extent. I'm sure that some of them have disappeared because of development, but it would be really nice to determine who and why and what and how, and you know, we just heard a lot about conservation and open space. You know, maybe there's a part of an homestead landscape that would be out of a conservation restriction, I don't know. But until somebody looks, we don't know.
So of the 18, how many do you think are still in existence?
I can think of one in particular that I know is gone, and that's the white property on Brush Hill Road, which is now Beach Lane, Beach Tree Lane.
Oh,
It was Charles White estate. I know that's gone.
And whether there are remnants around, on the property, I don't know.
I'll go look.
Just don't know.
I'll go look tonight.
You know that?
Yeah.
That's right in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know that is there was an issue when the house that was there had a fire, wanted to be demolished. And one of the items that came up in research is that it was an homestead design property. Landscaping had been allowed to deteriorate, but Mr. White was said to have brought in specimen trees from other parts of the world to landscape the property. So, you know, okay, it's a 5-acre property, the developer wanted to build 5 houses, well, can't we do something other than that? So we know that, or at least as far as I know, that was totally lost because of the development. The others, if you look at the names that show up in the Olmsted files is Wiggleworth, Russell, Slater, Kennedy, Brooks, Kimball, Whitney, which would be Winter Valley, Cobb, Forbes Estate, Milton Women's Club, the Elliott Street School. The Elliott Street School was never built. That's the playground on Elliott Street. That the land was purchased for a school, the school was never built, was turned into a playground. Milton Parks, Civil War Memorial, Town Hall, Elliott Memorial Bridge, Milton Central Station, I don't know what.
There's a train station.
So, I mean, these are the,
Yeah.
this is right out of the yes, Olmsted records.
All right, questions for Steve? All right.
So I guess one question would be, if some of these pieces are private land, right, they're privately owned. Is this for like inventorying this in a study basically to see what's available here? Okay, so then. That's
Yeah, right, is that
Right.
fair?
Yeah.
So basically, it's basically like what Pete did for the last time, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Right, okay.
I mean.
But there's also pieces of this that potentially are town owned or
Correct.
We don't know what we don't.
We don't know what we
That's
don't
what
know.
yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, so that there could be action items coming.
From
out
that come out of it.
assessment, yeah.
And I guess even if there aren't action items or something's been lost, creating a historical record that shows,
Correct.
collects the historical plans and what it was, and
Yeah.
it's part of the legacy of Milton. That would be nice to recognize.
Right. I mean, we try to document houses that have been lost.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to try to document landscape that's been lost,
Yeah.
as well as landscapes that still survive.
Yeah,
Cool.
all right, Wendy.
Pete, not that I want to expand your scope of work. That already you would be donating significant time for, but I do think it's worth noting in some capacity that Olmsted was also a teacher to many other landscape architects of significance here in town, including Fletcher Steele, for example, the Fletcher Steele Gardens, which we've funded the. So if it's possible to somehow document Olmsted once removed, that would be.
Homestead, et cetera.
Well,
Yes,
I think
yeah.
part of it would be to, outline the legacy of the Olmsted firm.
Mhm.
And, that, and many, because the firm was in existence until 1980. And, so some of the things that are called Olmsted landscapes, they're certainly not Frederick Olmsted or his stepson John Charles or his son Frederick Jr. But there's a whole cadre of landscape architects who've worked all over the country that descend from that firm. And so I think writing some of the history of that firm to give background and recognition, I think would be a good one.
Was the woman who did the garden that thing, what would be on?
Yeah, the Shipley, was she, Ship, was it?
Was there any?
Ellen Biddle
Ellen.
Shipley or, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shipley.
Yeah,
Shipley.
I don't know,
she was.
I don't think that,
I don't,
Yeah,
know
not that
that
I'm
she
aware
worked
of.
for the Olmsted.
We
firm.
looked into that during the whole hearing
Right,
situation.
yeah, and
And
that's.
I believe it was,
No.
we didn't see anything about them.
Okay.
Hopefully that part's being saved while all that stuff's done.
That is fenced off. Now, of course, nothing's been done to it. I suspect it's very much overgrown, but it is fenced off as best as can be seen from outside.
Okay, great, thank you, Steve, for that, yeah, so let me just wrap this up by saying, we saw 5 projects last week, we heard from 5 projects last week, 6 this
Is
week.
that it?
No,
And
No,
that means we have 10.
Let's just stop now.
I tried my best to smooth this out so that it'd be roughly even, but more people opted for the July 6th. And obviously we have.
were you here for a project or?
She's
You're
not, she's not. Just a interested resident.
Interested resident.
So,
potential volunteer.
Yeah.
So let me just, so we will have, just to summarize, the Milton Landing Boathouse. Presentation next week, and not next week, July 6th. The Brooks Field LED lighting. The Mary C. Lane safety and field improvements. The Winter Valley solar lighting. The Affordable Housing Trust. The Atherton Street Fire Station. The Blue Hill Parkway Historic Markers. That's a Joe Mondugno, proposal. The Milton Lockup Slate roof repairs, the Forbes House Plank House and Shed. And the one that coming from the town is the Monuments and Historic Markers Restoration. There's a little bit of overlap potentially with the Joe Mondugno and the town project, both talking about monuments and historic markers. So anyways, but that's the 10 we will have. And I believe with the one withdrawn project, we will have seen 21 projects over the last once we meet, over the past 3 meetings, counting July 6th. So stay tuned for a later night 6, because we can't.
How many?
We can't get through 10 projects in.
All 10 are going that time.
Yeah. I mean.
That's not that bad, it's only 8 o'clock.
Yeah, no.
So it'll be like.
Yeah, I wanted this one to have a couple more, and I tried my best, but.
Some of those are pretty complicated, but we'll just.
Yeah, we'll do our best. I'm scheduling, I put in the tentative agenda, with the town administrator. And I scheduled a few of them like Atherton up top and gave them 15 minutes. And then some of the others that I think are shorter, gave them just 10 minutes. So I'm trying to manage the time a little bit more. So the last 2 things on the agenda are approval of the June 8th, 2026 minutes. distributed via email. Do I hear a motion to?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
I have to do a roll. Jenny? Aye. Pete?
Yes.
Rob? Jenny, one abstention.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rob.
Steve? Again, Kathleen?
Abstain.
You're abstaining.
Wasn't
Rob?
here.
Rob?
Yes.
Yes, and Hal?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we have Seth and Tom, yes, so 7 in favor, 2 abstentions, and thank you for that. And then updated interviews, Pete and I were able to do interviews for the administrative, the CPC clerk, or I forgot exactly what we called it in the job description, but the administrative clerk position on Friday of this week, or last week rather. I've been in touch with Carla, I'm not sure how to pronounce Carla's last name, Feed or Feedy. But been in touch with her. She is the director of HR for the town. She is going to follow up with the candidates and ask for references and try to facilitate this moving very quickly. Is the good news I got from Carla just actually before this meeting. So we had, I think, 2 great conversations with town residents, and hopefully we can move quickly to, right, Jenny? To bring this person on board.
Jenny's like, not quick
Jenny,
enough.
Jenny, as I see her minutes there for the next meeting. So yeah, but I think Pete and I were, I don't want to mention any names because, privacy and stuff like that, but I think we were very pleased with the conversations we had. So hopefully we'll have some news at the next meeting. I don't know how quickly the town can do. I don't know if we'll have somebody employed by the next meeting, but we would hopefully have an offer and an acceptance and if that whole mechanism can happen quickly, maybe we could have somebody under contract. So anyways, that's the progress report on the position.
Just quick, the July 20th meeting, that will also be hybrid if we want, if we're traveling?
Correct, yeah, it will be hybrid like all of our meetings have been, and it will be here for those that are in person, but I think they've already reserved this room for us. That's all.
I may be out in the ocean somewhere, so if I have internet connection, I will try to go in.
Okay, great.
I will
Any-
be here for that, but I will not be at the next one. I have a dress rehearsal
Okay,
for a concert on July 11th.
oh, you were asking about the July 20th.
The July
Oh,
20th.
so when's the?
So there's 2 meetings scheduled.
The
So
the 6th.
July 6th is the meeting that I just mentioned that will have all the applicants come in, and July 20th will be our deliberation meeting.
Oh,
Just on eligibility.
Oh,
So
just on
it's
eligibility, so
pretty,
it's not that
it's
big.
pretty easy, yeah. I
yeah.
don't
that one's
know,
pretty easy.
the only ones I actually have a question about are the historic markers restoration. I'm not sure that, I'm not 100% sure that's up.
But this boathouse thing, is that eligible? That can't be eligible.
We'll have to discuss
I
it.
think, well, yeah, that could be, and that's another
Well,
question, yeah, so. All right, so anything else, any other questions?
Well,
Yeah.
was there any follow-up about the Joe Kane from last meeting we talked about?
Yes, Joe has actually, thank you, Joe has sent me, documentation that I need to distribute to the committee. So I will do that. What's that?
A new budget.
Yes,
Al's got
yes,
his hand up.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to touch on, Tucker Elementary came to us about the playground, and we know that sometime in early July, we have to have articles ready for town fall meeting. Did you have any conversations with Nick about that, Tom?
I haven't yet, so I will do that. I will also put on the agenda for July 6th, discussion in
The 6th or the 20th.
July 6th. I think we have, so depending on what Nick, if it really is. I mean, that will both be for the fire station and potentially for Tucker. We may have to vote on a warrant article. For an October. For both of those projects, if that is the committee's desire.
Yeah.
So we don't wanna miss it just because of a timing issue, we'll have to. I think that's the only other way to.
It is a discussion to bond those two projects.
No, well, our Atherton, yes, the bond.
But what about the Tucker?
Tucker is asking us to fast forward the application, so because Tucker has this unique thing that they can only do the work in the
In the
summer.
summer, right.
And,
Okay.
and Nick is, the town is saying you can only go forward with the preliminary contracting if we know you have all the funds secured. The only way to know the funds are secured, it would be for a town meeting vote. So Tucker is asking us for the first time ever, although it would be the second time ever, because Atherton, to have an article on fall town meeting, approving funding for that project. So it's a unique request.
But what I'm trying to get, that would be funded in July, right?
They still would only get the money in July, but they would have the certainty.
Have the approval.
They would have this,
Are you sure about that?
No, they
think
begin
so.
July of 27.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an issue for them. The fact that the money came in July and 27, they've told me that.
Okay. I mean, normally when we do this and we do it in a meeting in October, we're doing it for this year. To fund it out of this year's money.
No, it'd be.
So why, I don't understand why.
I don't understand.
It's the same reason why the funds are not available. When town meeting approves it in May,
Oh, no, I get that part, but
it's the same money, it's the same.
I know, but normally. When I do a meeting in October, beyond it, and it's in the current fiscal year. I'm voting the money out of this year's fiscal year, money.
We don't have that.
We
We've
don't,
already
we've already.
Okay.
committed the money for this
yeah,
fiscal
The
year.
May,
But
the May
here-
town meeting,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know it's a bit early, but here's the issue, right? If we'd be going out of sequence with all these other applications. So here, that's a big jump to say, hey, we're gonna commit X amount of money
Yes.
before everything else. It would be early before, like, it's not that many months early. The other bigger issue is this is absolutely a public bid job. And from what I've heard.
That's why they need the lead time.
Not yet, but this being said, they're also asking us, this is a $1.5 million project. They've done a great job of fundraising, but there's still a big gap. And before you go out to go get public money, for what I've heard is that Nick has always said that all the money needs to be there to go out to bid. So there's still a big gap even without the.
Right, no, I agree, and that's why Nick is coming for multiple projects, right? He is gonna be talking about the Atherton Street Fire Station, he's gonna be talking about the monuments and historic markers restoration and the Milton lockup, but he's also gonna be speaking to the Tucker project.
Okay.
So.
Is he
and-
presenting-
And answering questions of.
Is he presenting Atherton or is the fire station building committee presenting that?
I don't know. Nick is definitely gonna be here. I have not, gotten any, response from emails to, the fire.
I
station.
believe the application, Nick
Mhm.
was the
Yeah.
person who filed the application for Evan.
No,
Except we're gonna have I mean. The decision on the Atherton Street Fire Station would likely take. At least the 2 hours that we've got on the. Seriously. So we can't see 10 applicants and then go through the discussion about bonding $3 million.
That's a big.
The questions I've got about Atherton Street.
well, we already know, I mean, we know it's eligible.
Yeah, I mean, so why not just say it's eligible this time? and-
No, but Hal's question about Tucker also applies to Atherton. We're gonna have to have, the town's gonna want to have a warrant article.
Right.
Oh,
If-
prepared
if
early.
we
right.
feel that it's possible. I don't think it's possible.
So I'll try to talk to, Nick tomorrow about all of this timing issue.
And Tom, others obviously know more than I do. But I was told that you could have a placeholder article for that July 7th. I don't know what that actually means, but
You can.
But my big issue with that, which probably is similar to yours, is if you're just picking $3 million out of a hat. Where's the details for this for in October to be ready? Does this construction company, we're taking a lot of liability to say, hey, let's just bond $3 million. I have no idea what that $3 million buys.
And the $3 million has got to be specifically related to historic preservation.
Right.
And so all the elements have to qualify and be done consistent with the Secretary of
I
State.
just don't know if it's gonna get done by.
Well, that's why Nick is coming.
Yeah.
If people have, bump into Brian, if they can encourage him to attend as well, I think that would be, good, but Steve's point is right, and the application did come from Nick's office, basically.
It came from Nick's office and not the fire building committee.
Well,
I think it was
it's probably more appropriate to come from, I mean, the town's building it, not the
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, sure,
Station committee.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right, so I wanna, since this wasn't on the agenda, I think, this is good conversation, but I don't wanna get too deep into it, but, so I will reach out to Nick tomorrow morning and try to, get some clarity on the timing. I think the place, Hal, to your point, the placeholder just means there's a number, warrant article 16 is for the fire station, for Atherton Street or for Tucker School and it doesn't really have any content. And the content is to be filled in by a green sheet or purple sheet or whatever color sheet it is at town meeting. Sometimes before town meeting, obviously, but, so let's, yeah, so the town also has a history of, giving early deadlines for warrant articles and,
Pulling them.
and those deadlines slip a little bit. So, so there might be some flexibility.
Okay.
That would be consistent with our July 20th meeting too, so.
But I mean, I guess the other question for that one is, what's the urgency on that one? Or is like Atherton going into construction? Okay,
They're going to the ballot in November,
for the whole project.
the whole volume, yeah.
Okay,
So it will be a proposed override,
Got
bill, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, so some issues we haven't had to deal with in our.
Bring your lunch.
But to your point, though, if there's 10 applicants, should you just, like, those three projects alone, right? Just Tucker and this one
One's bonding.
and Tucker, those two projects are gonna take 2 hours to beat.
Tucker already went.
Tucker's done.
Already done.
Yeah.
No, but you said Nick is going to just speak to that. If
He's
it
gonna
could
speak
over,
to some of the
The time.
timing and, the specific timing issues that he has, instructed the Tucker, PTO about and
got
the reason they're asking for this is because of
it.
Nick's advice. When they sat down with Nick basically said, well, you need then CPC approval in a fall town meeting as opposed to, they didn't just dream up this idea, it was coming from Nick, is my understanding. So, so Nick is gonna be key to have at that July 6th meeting, obviously, and have a conversation with him. Again, we're only accepting for those warrant articles, we're only, deciding on eligibility. And I think the placeholder gives us an out, if there is a strict deadline where. So put on a Tucker, and if they have to get billed and put on Atherton, and if they get billed, they get pulled, or if they get filled.
Question for like procedure wise, because we have this 2-step process. Is it something, if we're gonna go do this, right? Is this like, okay, this is real easy, the eligibility, but if we have these early projects like we're proposing, should the committee propose that if you're going to an October town meeting, which, because it's pretty simple, it's usually October or May, if we're doing October, if the eligibility time period is here, if you want to go to something earlier, should the committee consider an earlier, like, final submittal? Like this, you need to be in by a certain amount so that we can review that for a certain amount.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think it raises a number of issues. I think that, you know, what I told the Tucker BPO folks is, you know, this is not on them, but what the committee has to realize is this sets a precedent that we could anticipate other projects
Getting in line earlier.
trying to do the same thing. Now, Tucker we'll evaluate what Nick has to say, but Tucker has a particularly compelling timeline case, I think, to be made. Now, it's up to the committee to decide on whether it's compelling enough. But they do have a unique set of circumstances where it's a school playground, reconstruction of that playground during school year would not be feasible, it seems to me. The public bid process means it's got to start early enough so that they can be ready to go the day school ends. You know, all these moving parts, at least when I sat with them, seem unique and compelling, but not to say somebody else couldn't come up with a unique and compelling set of circumstances.
But if on the sixth we find them eligible, when are they gonna submit their full proposals for us to, you know, accept and fund the proposals?
I will say that for them, they are getting out early. They came before our parks, they came before our parks committee. And I said, hey, don't come back to us, let's vote for support. So they do have full support from the parks committee. They have really, they're ready. I mean, they have plans almost ready. So in there, you know, but it's not an insignificant amount of money.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And then we will take a roll call. Jenny?
Yep.
Pete?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Linda?
Yeah.
Steve?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
All right, and Tom, yes. Thank you, everybody, perfect attendance, and
Nice.
we will see you July 6th.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
All
Tom.
right.
Be here,
Right.
that would be a good one.